Thank you very much, Sir Richard Jolie and Professor Emmerich, for presenting us the 9 noble ideas that how UN can change the world. And now I would like to give the, this is going to be the question and answer session, so I will give about like 15 or 20 minutes for question and answer. Now I would like to give the floor to all the participants. Please, if you have a question, please identify yourself and your affiliation. Yes,
Anucha, Naresuan University Vice President. I would like you to elucidate a bit more about how to create more creativity in the UN. You know, that's important. So can you explain a bit more? You have some ideas about how to make the UN function better in just implementing creativity.
We're going to have several questions and then he will answer as well.
Thank you, Sir Richard and Professor Emery, for your presentation. My name is Surakiat Satyaratai. I'm at the Faculty of Law at Chulalongkorn University at the moment, former Foreign Minister. With your reference to the Washington Consensus, I'm very glad to see that there's been an emerging consensus now that there's no consensus on Washington Consensus. And I hope that we will continue to question the application of Washington Consensus, especially to countries with different developmental stages, especially developing countries. You mentioned also that the United Nations has always been ahead of the Bretton Woods institutions. I fully agree, and I think you should do much more. I think one of the most recent example is when the President of the General Assembly appointed Joseph Stiglitz to chair the International Commission to look at basically the reform of the Bretton Woods institutions, but it's not called that way. It's called the reform of the international monetary and financial system. And in his report, which I've read, I think he pointed out very interesting issues as to how IMF should be reformed. Before the financial crisis or economic crisis in the US and in the West, no one could touch the issue of the reform of the Bretton Woods institution. You probably remember that in the outcome document adopted, very little indeed reference to the Bretton Woods institutions as to how it's going to be reformed. The issue of the Security Council was touched upon in great length, although it has not been any development towards that end, and unfortunately. So I think that that's something that is very important, that the idea of the reform of the financial and monetary system has been initiated by the General Assembly of the United Nations, which is the forum of all countries participating. Now, with both of you, Sir Richard and Professor Emery, and perhaps Dr. Norman as well, how can we carry that work forward? For example, you mentioned about the global governance issue. I'm now very interested in the issue of the global economic governance. For example, in financial world, what the United States has told us in 1997, Asian financial crisis, that we could not do because it's against the global financial governance. Those are the things that the United States has been doing exactly that at the moment. So that has raised a lot of questions as to what is the global financial governance, while similar thing that we could not do in 1997 is being practiced now, and said that this is all right. For example, using tax money, taxpayers' money to salvage the financial institutions, to buy bad assets or the non-performing loans. So that was prohibited in 1997 financial crisis in Asia, but it's exactly what it's doing now. So that's on the financial reform. But also on the monetary reform, in fact, both of them, what kind of global economic governance that we can foresee? I think this is the time when there is a policy space, almost for the first time in history, that you can start questioning the financial system and the monetary system at the same time. So the policy space is there. But the developing countries, if I may say so, do not have enough bullets or substance to fill in that policy space as to what is desirable global financial or regional financial and monetary governance. Can we look at the regional initiative like what Asian countries have been trying to do during the past decade, what we call the Asian financial architecture, the way we have been talking about the multilateral swap arrangements, we are talking about Asian bond, whether those would be the kind of the regional cooperation that is a reflection of how each region could do in terms of the reform of the monetary system, and whether it can be followed by Latin America or Africa. And also on the issue of financial system, the issue of too big to fail, too intertwined to fail, banking institutions involved in too many related activities that have not been well disclosed to the public. What is the protection of the consumer? What is the transparency issue of derivatives? How could all of these issues be regulated? In other words, what is the international regulatory framework of the financial and monetary system? So I would like to leave with you that since the United Nations has started this by appointing Joseph Stiglitz to chair that commission, and there's a lot of interesting points there. So if your organization, either through you as an individual or as an institution, can find a way to create a forum to generate more ideas, especially for developing countries, to look at this particular issue. Because I'm afraid that the window would be closed right now. Probably not yet, but soon after the crisis is over, the window would be closed, and that would be a shame. Thank you very much. Sorry for taking so much time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Surukiat. One more question, and then we go right to the answer. Okay, if not, let me ask the question. You mentioned in one of your slides about the 10 global challenges for the UN futures. And on the item number 6 is about the responding to the population growth and international migration. I want to seek your view on the international migration, because this issue came to me that like 2 months ago I went to the launch of the UNDP, the 2009 report, and it's painted a very positive picture on the migration, and it has a suggestion that every government in the developing country and least developed country should encourage the international migration. I just, with all respect, I disagree with this kind of recommendation. So I want to seek your view on these issues. Okay, that's end of my question. Now I give the floor to Professor Jolie and Professor Imre.